And I want to introduce to you Melanie Tveti. Today we're going to talk about all things branding because Melanie has a lot of background and information on this topic. What are some of the more common mistakes that people make?
In general, it sounds funny, but kind of doing it all yourself. I mean, that's a common one. But in general, with like I said, with branding, it's not taking the time to or allowing yourself to try something out and see how it resonates. The fact that people need to have it perfect and they need to do it right. It's like perfect is an evolving thing, and if you're striving for perfection, you're never going to get it. So and perfection is more of that process of going, how do you come up with something that works? And so to me, it would be, you need to just take it one step at a time and figure out that little piece of your brand. Try it out, see if it works. So if you've tried logos and colors or implementing something, or, like I said, well, same thing with tools, all the tech tools. You try something and I go, that didn't quite fit right.
Mm-hmm.
You have to keep trying it out and figuring it out. So it is a process, and eventually you'll get there. And if you obviously have help, you'll get there faster. But it is possible to do it yourself.
Yeah, but I think your point, having an outside perspective to kind of reflect back what that person in an objective position is seeing and experiencing is so vital. Okay, so I have to know, because now, as I said, I am simplistic. I thought it was logo and colors and fonts, but you did mention how things make people feel. So what about colors in branding? And excuse me if I'm getting just too, I don't know if that's too specific or too out there, but what about colors? I mean, how do you choose that?
Colors are, there's a whole psychology based on colors as well. I'm not going to go into all the details, but I was going to say the colors you choose have certain general meanings, and also the tone you use. So whether typically you would say like a spring, summer, winter, and fall, there are certain type tones of colors.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's red, there's obviously so many colors in the world, but then there's tones and shades. And so that's where you'd bring them into the different colors or the seasons. And so being able to pick a color and then the tone will help you figure out what vibe, what feel you're giving. And so if you would do, so if there's a disconnect, so for example, if let's go doctor. If a chiropractor, we'll say chiropractor, if they would choose red and orange and yellows, you'd be like, okay, what kind of a doctor are you? Those are not the colors you would think of healing or health or natural or those kind of things. So doctors would typically stay in the blue and the green colors based upon the meanings. And like I said, I'm not going to go into all the details of what they all are.
No.
But if they would choose the wrong colors, there's going to be a disconnect. And so also, and then between, like I said, from there, based upon the colors I choose, I picked one because it's one of my favorite colors, which is purple. You and I have that in common. But yet my shade of purple and your shade of purple are two different. But yet there's, purple there's something like, it says royal, and I'm like, I'm not necessarily thinking that we're royalty, but it is one color that is typically with royalty. There's some, I can't remember what all it is, but have to go into my notes. But yeah, so there's different values and different vibes and words that you would use to articulate something.
The email service provider called Drip did a huge rebranding so that the colors are much brighter, much more vivid and popping, and the pictures of people are a lot different. They're younger, hipper. And I actually had a woman who was probably 50s, maybe late 50s or something, said, well, with the way they changed their branding, they're telling me I'm not their customer anymore. And I was really stunned by that because, frankly, I was put off by it. But that somebody articulated, okay, they're telling me I'm not their ideal customer anymore. That's the what you're talking about, right? Because it wasn't, I don't even think it was just the color and the photos. It was something about the feeling that people got when they went there.
Right.